Well, good evening. It's a little bit after 7. We are very carefully scripted tonight by Amy and Christine, but we'll do allow some deviations from it. But my name is Craig Rafferty. I'm an architect here in St. Paul, part of the AIA St. Paul, and also a principal at Rafferty, Tollison, Lindeke Architects, I guess better known as RRTL. And we are celebrating our 50th year here in St. Paul. And I think that this is the 21st, although I would argue that it's the 25th, but no one kept perfect records. And so what I'm going to agree to is that it's the 25th year, it's the 21st awarding of certificates and awards for the Heritage Preservation Awards. This is a joint effort of AIA St. Paul and of the St. Paul Heritage Preservation Commission. And it's something that I think is extremely important for everyone. And it is a gesture of our esteem for all of the work that is done, both from the city and from the architects and owners and engineers and others who have participated in these projects. We are here tonight to celebrate our city's cultural heritage and some of the many people that continue to make it a vital part of our city and our identity. We have several awards this evening, but first what I would like to do is ask for our council president, Kathy Lantry, to make some comments, and then I will ask Mike Meehan, who is president of AIA St. Paul, to make a few comments. And then we'll ask John Manning, who is the chair of the Heritage Preservation Commission, to make some comments. And then once we can get done with all of the mandatory required comments, we can move on to the awards. Kathy, do you have a few thoughts?
Oh, I sort of liked having that wine right there, Christine, but okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I am Kathy Lantry. I'm president of the St. Paul City Council, and I noticed that one of my colleagues, at least one, Councilmember Dave Thune. Dave, where are you? Oh, he was here. Sure, when I take the time to introduce him, he's not here. Tell him I said that he was here. And then Commissioner Jim McDonough, who I know is going to be part of a group that's receiving an award, but just to point out Commissioner McDonough as well. So, I have to say that this is, I was just telling John that it must be the season for really great events that I like to go to, because last week I got to go to the Adult Library Volunteer Recognition Dinner, which are hundreds of adults who volunteer in our libraries every week, and it's an event I wouldn't miss. I would count this among one of those events also, because I think this event is St. Paul in a nutshell. We take the time to stop for 2 seconds to remind ourselves that our history is a critical part of who we are as a city. It's why people come here. Sometimes preservation gets a little bit of a bad rap. It's really hard. And, it takes, you really have to think about it, and it's not easy. I tell you what, ask a demo person. It is so easy to just go in and wipe it clean. But you know what? To think about how you take an old use and make it fit for 2011 takes a lot of hard work, and that's what we will see here tonight, is people who have really dedicated themselves to a lot of hard work. And just to let you know that the City of St. Paul doesn't always just sort of give out awards. We are trying to walk the walk also. A couple weeks ago, the City Council actually passed an ordinance designating the Victoria Theater in the First Ward as a historic site. And actually on our council agenda tomorrow night, at the 5:30 portion, is the third reading, our public hearing about making the Schmidt Brewery also a designee for the historic for a historic district. So we're trying to do our part also. And I actually, when I was thinking about it, I thought, I bet you in a couple of years those places will be honored here. And that's why this is so important, because it isn't just about honoring all of you, but for those of us who are total sleds and live in a 1968 split level, it's inspiring. And it really is to see what people can do with what really is the culture and heritage of our city. We've talked about this before. You can buy a house anywhere. But you know what? Where are you going to find a Queen Anne from the 1800s that is stunning? There's only a few places where you can find that sort of richness, and St. Paul has a ton of it. And I'm always pleased to be part of this. And so I'll be back up because I get to give out one of the awards, which I'm thrilled about too. So just congratulations to everyone, and thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Craig. I'm honored to follow both of you. I'm Mike Meehan. I'm the president of AIA St. Paul this year. I'm a long-term employee in downtown St. Paul as an architect and was a resident of St. Paul for many years, so I'm very honored to be here with this group. I think we're all here because we all feel some pull, some connection with old buildings, whether it's a house or whether it's a public institution or a commercial structure. Old buildings are just really fascinating. I think we can all agree on that. And this is a great opportunity to celebrate those old buildings in our lives and to tell the stories of successful reuse. Because you're right, it's not easy. Old buildings are quirky, they're not square, there's all kinds of challenges associated with restoring an old building and finding a new use for it. So I'm very excited to be here as a St. Paul architect and to be here to help hand out the awards tonight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Manning. I chair the HPC, and I'm awfully glad to be here as well. I wanted to ask those of you who are commissioners or have been commissioners, and I've met some former commissioners tonight for the first time, can you raise your hand? And if you're the family member of a commissioner, raise your hand. All right. And have you ever been before the commission and dealt with it? Oh, you people. All right. I think, and I guess, raise your hand if you've ever felt that it's been burdensome to go to a commission meeting. All right, at least one honest person. I think that it can be difficult, and I've probably told too many of you the story of my daughter writing a note to me saying, HPC stinks, after one too many evenings out at the HPC. But I think safeguarding our city's heritage is worthwhile. Obviously, that's why we're here. It can be frustrating, and it can be difficult for all involved, but this is why we're here, is the kinds of projects and people we're recognizing tonight are why it's worthwhile, and I think that's really important to remember. I also really want to thank Kathy Lantry for being here and her leadership and the projects she just mentioned that are moving through designation. I can think of no better news that we should all be celebrating, so let's thank Kathy and her leadership for that. I wanted to point out that there's been some change at the HPC, and not all of it's good. We've lost a couple commissioners whom we will miss, and I'd like them to come forward to receive some recognition from us. We've had two commissioners, Pat Igo and Lee Meyer, who've served for years on the commission, and they've both taken on extra duties and been really outstanding in their service for a time that it's just been remarkable. So, and Pat as well served as vice chair. So I'd like us to all recognize them. Yeah. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
And here's one for you.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything?
No.
Pat?
I just want to say, I miss you guys, I've done it for so long, I miss you guys, and I really appreciate this honor, and, some people have said that when they volunteer, like Lee does and I do, that, we're giving back to the community. I had nothing to give. I had so much fun down there, I met so many people and learned so many things, and I didn't stay long enough, though, to learn some more of that the architect's jargon. Things like eclectism and eyebrow dormers and all that kind of stuff. What a novel vocabulary. So I wish I could have stayed a little longer. But I also want to thank, without leaving here, we couldn't have done it. I'm kind of a curmudgeon when it comes to employees, city employees and so forth. Because my brother worked for the city, and I think he broke 3 shovels by leaning on him before he got out of there. So, but I have so much high praise for 2 people in particular. That's Amy Spong and Christine. Man, that's top shelf. That's top shelf. We didn't do any. I didn't do any work as commissioner. I don't believe you did, but I mean, they had everything all done for us. All the history, all the background, the PowerPoints. All we had to do was ask questions and vote. That's it. That's all we had to do. So, and I want to say congratulations to all the other recipients tonight, also. So thank you very much.
You did very well for not having anything prepared. The alliance between HPC and the AIA is at the very core of our care and concern for the architectural heritage and for all of the people who are involved here. Tonight we're going to be honoring 6 noteworthy contributors to heritage preservation. We also know that there are many other worthy projects, but the truth is that they don't all come before us. Not everyone thinks of these projects, but also all of the projects, so many projects, contribute to our heritage and our preservation. We like to think that here in St. Paul, we are leading the way and giving good example to Minneapolis in how they should conduct their heritage preservation approaches. And I can be quoted. They now offer awards too, but secondary. The 6 projects tonight are very strong examples of different areas within St. Paul's history and heritage and the people who've made it happen. We give awards for buildings in 3 categories. They are restoration, adaptive reuse, and if there's new construction or an addition to a historic piece. Those are sort of the 3 categories. But we also give other categories. We give them to an organization or to an educational activity. We give a vote of confidence award for a project that has sometimes taken forever or sometimes is sort of new on our horizon, but needs a little extra nudge, needs an acknowledgement that what they're doing and the too hard approach that sometimes heritage preservation can be perceived as, that it's worth the effort. And so the Vote of Confidence Award does allow that. We also give awards for historic landscape and stewardship, and we do have a new award tonight. It is the SLED category for those worthy SLED participants. And there is another award, and that is for the daughters category, where if there's a daughter that becomes particularly disgruntled for a commissioner, we will give her an award just to let her know that we appreciate her sacrifice. The restoration category, of course, deals with the projects that are bringing buildings back to life and responding to their specific time in history. Often, but not always, that time is started with its initial construction. There is the adaptive use category, and there it's dealing with preserving a building that has significant historic features, but you have to make some alterations in order to keep it alive and vital and responsive, if nothing else, to today's codes. And then we do have awards for new construction and additions in historic districts or neighborhoods, which go to buildings that don't mimic, but rather respond extremely sensitively to what is happening with the historic structure. We're going to start our awards in a few seconds here, but there's a few rules that I have to read here. They are that we'd ask the recipients to come forward as your names are read by the presenter. And then if you would stand just to the right here, you'll be given your award. And if you would stay here until all of those who are active and are participating in your particular award have received it. And then, if you'd like, you can say a few words. and we have 4.5 hours to go, I'm told, so should be fine. And we have plenty of time, so everybody can speak with 20 minutes at most. We'll start off our awards presentations tonight with the Adaptive Reuse Award. And this award will be presented by Cecile Bedore, a Director of St. Paul's Planning and Economic Development. Cecile?
I know that Amy and Christine were already acknowledged, but I have to tell you, the amount of work that these two women do is really enough for probably 6 or 7 staff people. So they really are amazing people. And I just also want to piggyback on what John said. There is no HPC commission without the members of the HPC commission and the number of hours that you all put in, the commissioners that are here, to work through these issues, which can be very small to very big. And you've got a lot of other things you can be doing with your time. So on behalf of Mayor Coleman, I just want to say thank you for the time that you devote for the city of St. Paul. It's really meaningful. And I apologize, these awards are all great. My son promptly informed me last night that the last band concert is tonight. So I have to bike out right after this, but congratulations to everybody. Okay, now I'm gonna go back on script. Stand in the lobby of the Minnesota building and you can't help but be struck by the significant effort it took to pull this project off. And you'll also understand just how worthwhile this effort was. You're standing on a gorgeous terrazzo floor surrounded by Art Deco detail, restored light fixtures, Italian marble wainscoting, a metallic painting scheme on the ceiling, and original revolving doors. The creation of affordable workforce housing in the heart of downtown, in the heart of an historic building, has been a significant achievement. While certainly not envisioned this way when the building first opened in 1929, the reuse of this 13-story building nevertheless honors the past while helping to meet today's critical workforce housing needs. Sometimes historic preservation is perceived as being at odds with redevelopment efforts. This project helps relieve people of this misperception, showing how the goals of historic preservation and redevelopment can both be achieved in one single project. This rehabilitation resulted in 137 rental housing units and maintained a small portion of office and retail space per the original design. Like most projects of this type, the Minnesota project would not have happened without the tenacious collaboration of several partners, including St. Paul PED and HRA, the Metropolitan Council, and the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency. The building was listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which facilitated the use of historic tax credits, a key tool in bringing additional private capital to the project. And of course, the Minnesota building would most likely be sitting vacant if not for the tremendous efforts of tonight's award winners. For the sensitive design, careful restoration, and development of this project, an Adaptive Reuse Award goes to Sand Companies Incorporated in recognition of their skill and vision for adaptive reuse that respects the Art Deco style of the Minnesota building at 46 East 4th Street. And to Sand Companies, Inc. in recognition of their thoughtful design for adaptive reuse of the Art Deco building, originally designed by Charles Hausler. And to MNB Development, LLC, in recognition of their commitment to adaptive reuse of the historic Minnesota building that respects the architectural and historic character of the building. Congratulations. Oh, good, somebody's here.
I'd just like to say a couple quick words. My name is John Belisle. I'm part of the ownership and part of MNB Development, LLC. On behalf of the owners, the general contractor, and the architects, thank you very much for this award. We hired Sand Companies to refurbish the 13-story Minnesota building, 1929 Art Deco building, and we are very happy that we did that. We were very impressed with their creativity and their attention to detail, and apparently they were pretty impressed with what they did too, because then they decided to open up an office in the building. So they have 2,200 square feet on the Skyway level, so we're really happy about that. If you haven't had the opportunity to tour the building, feel free to stop in anytime and take a look at the building. It's really unique. You don't have to set up a time. You can just walk in the lobby and look around and look at some of those features, the terrazzo floor, the chandeliers, some of those unique things. It is a true gem. Again, we're very happy and proud to be part of the downtown historic St. Paul community. And again, thank you very much.
Our second award is for the James J. Hill House at 240 Summit. And the award category is the Restoration Award. I'd like to introduce Daniel Bushin, James J. Hill in some categories, who is here to present our award.
Well, good evening. My name is James J. Hill. Some of you may also know me as the Empire Builder. I build things that last. Things like a stone arch bridge across the Mississippi, or the Great Northern Railroad across the Rocky Mountains, or my humble family residence on Summit Avenue. Now, however, after almost a century of standing firm, the massive stones in the retaining wall around my home began to shift and to slide, and mortar was crumbling. This National Historic Landmark was in serious danger and was threatened. Now, fortunately, the attentive stewards of the Minnesota Historical Society were aware of the problem, and they presented their case to the state legislature, who, for once, did their duty and funded this project. McDonald and Mack architects applied their wisdom to bear on the problem, and the Building Restoration Corporation marshaled their strength to do the work that needed to be done. I extend my thanks to all of them. And once again, my legacy will be preserved for generation after generation to appreciate. Now, on behalf of the St. Paul Heritage Preservation Commission, I am very proud to offer this award to these recipients. The Restoration Award goes to the Minnesota Historical Society in recognition of their commitment to the thoughtful restoration and masonry elements and features of the James J. Hill House, a St. Paul landmark, and in recognition of their stewardship and collaboration in restoring the masonry elements, to McDonald and Mack Architects, in recognition of their precise research and thoughtful design in restoring the masonry features, to Matson, McDonald, and Young, in recognition of their evaluation and respectful design solutions to restore the masonry elements and features, and to Building Restoration Corporation, in recognition of their skillful craftsmanship and attention to detail in restoring the masonry features. Thank you so much for your service.
On behalf of the team, I've been asked to discuss the project a little bit and thank you all for, one, having such an award and, a process that recognizes this type of work, because we also appreciate all the things that you do and resonate with all the things that you guys had talked about. And this project, I think, in my opinion, and probably everybody's opinion standing over here, speaks to exactly, what it is that this type of organization stands for. We did the type of work out there that lasts for generations to come, and we hope to have the landmark be around there for a long time. It was a lot of effort on several parts, and I'm from Building Restoration, so I represented the company that did the work, but I know there was a lot of work that went into the pre-planning in order for this to even occur, such as the state allocating the funds, et cetera. So a hearty thanks to everyone, hearty thanks to all of you for all of your work, and thank you all very much.
Our third award tonight is an individual award. It goes to John Manillo. There was a fight to see who would present to John. So many people wanted to do this, so I simply decided to do it myself. Make life easier. I have a few things to suggest here, and I'd like to read some of these. But John Manillo was recognized some 21 years ago or something like that with this same award. A proud moment, I'm sure, for the Manillo family. At that time, the award recognized the tremendous impact that his efforts have had in our community and our historic structures, and his skillful and insightful tactical leadership throughout his career. Now, some 20 years later, the identical language could be used because he has continued this same legacy of commitment to our community. During that intervening years, he has been equally as skillful, equally as insightful, and equally tactful in his leadership in preserving our history. John has been a participant in over 50 volunteer community committees. He is Mr. Committee. The efforts and initiatives vary greatly. Some are modest, such as gardening in Mears Park, and some have have a tremendous impact on our historic preservation and things at stake. His efforts are equal, whether it is the smallest task or the largest task. He gives the same kind of effort, which is one of the most unique aspects of John. It gets his complete attention. He has served as the chair of the Heritage Preservation Commission. He has been a longtime member of the Heritage Preservation Commission. He serves on the Preservation Alliance, the Capital Area Architectural Planning Board, the Lower Town Small Area Task Force, the Capital River Council, the Skyway Governance Committee. He has received 12 different community-based awards. He has pioneered certain historic programs from infancy to success, such as Preservation Alliance's Facade Easement Program. He's led the economic analysis for over 16 different historic reuse projects, of projects that were facing significant challenges. Maybe a way of summarizing this is that John Manillo's career has not wavered for a single moment throughout this entire time. He is, by all barometers of measurement, the City of St. Paul's most enduring volunteer. His tireless, selfless efforts have not only been remarkable, but have really achieved a legacy of accomplishment and have changed the face of our city and preserved its history. There may be someone else, but I'm not sure who. Whether it's a politician or a citizen or a building owner, an entrepreneur, a chairperson or otherwise, who could demonstrate John's level of commitment and consistency through such a sustained career. And no, it's not an award because you're just simply old, John. It's because you continue to act like a 25-year-old energetic person. I really would like to give a round of applause for John.
Deja vu all over.
When I RSVP'd my invitation tonight, and I said I was an award winner, and I was asked what award it was for, and I said for being old and preserved. I've spent a career. My career in St. Paul is where I spent my career, but it's in preservation. It's in saving buildings, but really it's building community. And I think preservation is building community. It's something that carries on from generation to generation. And I also saw a way that by doing that, it made good business sense. So it was good business for me. It was good business for building owners, property owners. It was good for the city, and it was good for community. So all I can say is that while I'm old and preserved, I'm going to be around longer and still doing this because I can't think of anything that's more fun to do than continuing to build a community. So thank you. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, the HPC, and thanks to the AIA, and thank you all.
We are preparing the calligraphy for your third award in another 20 years. I'm going to ask the Council President Lantry to come forward again to present our Vote of Confidence Award to the Giesen-hauser House at 827 Mound Street. The award category is the Vote of Confidence Award. This is an important award.
Of course it's an important award. It's in Ward 7, for goodness sakes. Okay, so that alone. Yes, thank you, Carol. So, okay, all our little, you're part of the crew. You're supposed to be up here. So everyone who's here for the Ward 7, for the, and I always thought it was Giesen. Is it Giesen? Giesen. Okay. Right on. Okay. All right. And it's sort of funny because, we have this, when we were talking about how great Amy and Christine do, I mean, they have this wonderful script. It's all beautifully written, and of course, then we're all sort of messing with it, which I'm sorry, because it is really great. Although, the first line of this, historic preservation is often not about grand gestures. Considering that, we gave an award to John for being old and preserved and a retaining wall. I mean, it really is about doing those things that are really important if you just read them on paper, but if you go see that wall, or if you drive by, and you all have to drive by at the speed limit, because I get a lot of calls about that, at 827 Mound, you will know why this is such an important award. It is instead far less showy, a steady perseverance when people take care of something historic, ensuring it is there for others and into the future. That's what we can see Nancy Ward doing with her ongoing work at 827 Mound at the giesen-hauser House. This house is an amazing, striking structure. My guess is you've all seen it as you've gone by on the freeway and never had any idea what it was called. But I'm most amazed by Nancy and her dogged insistence on how she's going to keep restoring this large, turreted home and keep doing it right. Built in 1891, the red brick home is quite a landmark in the neighborhood. Nancy has already restored several of the house's 5 chimneys, updated the roof, handled masonry repointing and repairs that had a full restoration of the wraparound porch. Now she's completed a detailed building condition assessment and preservation plan, one that prescribes treatment and priorities. Prepared by Kathy Sandlin, this plan is an important tool for guiding Nancy's next step and ensuring its restoration continues to meet its very high standards. The Vote of Confidence Award goes to Sandlin Consulting in recognition of the care in authoring a conditions assessment for the Giesen-hauser House at 827 Mound Street to guide ongoing preservation, to Historic St. Paul in recognition of their perseverance in seeking funding for the ongoing preservation and stewardship of the Giesen-hauser House at 827 Mound. You didn't have to, boy, do you know how hard that is to say over and over again? And to Nancy Ward, most importantly, in recognition of her ongoing stewardship efforts and the preservation of the Giesen-hauser House at 827 Mound Street. Brick, what? Oh, because I did it right? Or because you're so used to hearing me say it now. Okay. A brick Queen Anne treasure. So congratulations.
Well, I didn't prepare anything, but I just want to say thank you for the award, and thank you, Nancy, for opening up your home to me and sharing all the wonderful stories and hopes and aspirations you have for it. I'm relatively new in my career. I'm a recent graduate, and I just hope and pray that all my future projects are this interesting, because I will be so happy and so content. Thank you.
I'm kind of speechless, as my family would be surprised to hear me say that. But I want to thank Catherine for her time. It was a lot of time she spent at the house. I thought we were going to have to give her a room for a while. But her attention to detail is outstanding. And she put together the most awesome book on restoration and a plan that I hope I can live up to. Thank you.
The Cultural Heritage Award will be presented this evening by Paul Williams, the Deputy Mayor. The award will be going to the Union Depot Historic Structures Report, the report that identifies and clarifies and exemplifies all that can and should and needs to be done at 214 East 4th Street. The award category, again, is the Cultural Heritage Award.
Thank you, Craig. I wanted to say on behalf of the mayor how much we appreciate the work of the staff, the volunteers who put so much time into this work, and also to Council President Lantry for what she's done for preservation in the city of St. Paul. He's deeply indebted for all of that work. I also want to say congratulations to all the award winners. And everything. I'm 4 months into my role as the new deputy mayor, and every day is kind of a discovery for me. And so today's discovery was to come to this awards presentation and to see these projects highlighted, but particularly to see the Minnesota building highlighted. My dad was a private practice attorney, and my earliest memories were of going downtown St. Paul to the office where my dad worked in the Minnesota building. And to see that building kind of come back to life, I just remember so distinctly the smell of the lobby with the little, it was kind of a tobacco shop, I think, that was right when you came in the door. The cafe in the back, if any of you remember, there was a kind of a mom and pop cafe on the first, as you walked up the steps past the elevators. Just a tremendous building and a tremendous asset. So it's really a joy for me to be here tonight to celebrate this with you all. But presenting the Cultural Heritage Award to the Union Depot Historic Structures Report, try saying that several times, we'll see how I do with that one. The Union Depot has always been a pretty exciting place. That's no less true today, with the work underway to return it to its proper role as a transportation hub for the entire region. Given the history of the site and the care that would be taken to respect that history, this project included an amazingly detailed historic structures report. It is the work on that report that we are recognizing tonight. The report describes the economic forces that drove settlement in St. Paul and the construction of the Great Northern Railroad, which led to the construction of several generations of rail depots in St. Paul. The report tells the story about how railroads built this city and continued as a major force for moving passengers and goods up until the end of World War II. Among the report's 262 pages are included a comprehensive developmental history, evaluation of its significance, and existing conditions with recommendations for work on the project. The report is a stipulation of the Section 106 agreement with the Ramsey County Railroad Authority, the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Transit Administration, and the Minnesota State Historic Preservation Office, and the result is a report that is, through its scholarship and professional, makes a strong contribution to documenting the city's history. The Cultural Heritage Award goes to Ramsey County Regional Railroad Authority in recognition of their vision and commitment in rehabilitating St. Paul's Union Depot by commissioning this comprehensive historic structures report. To Beyer, Blinder, Bell Architects and Planners in recognition of their thorough research, writing, and design of the St. Paul Union Depot Historic Structures Report. To guide the future rehabilitation of that structure. To Lucan Architecture, PA, in recognition of their care in authoring a conditions assessment for the St. Paul Union Depot to guide future preservation and use, and to HGR Architects and Engineers in recognition of their leadership and skillful coordination of the St. Paul Union Depot Historic Structures Report, ensuring rehabilitation as a multimodal transit hub. Congratulations, and if all those folks could come up.
This is one of the neatest projects that I think anybody could be involved in, and I certainly want to make sure we hear from some of the people that have really rolled up their sleeves. But Jim McDonough, I chair the Ramsey County Regional Rail Authority, and I have to recognize my colleagues. But 10 years ago, they seen the vision and started investing in this project here. And so many times these projects, so much of it is a timing thing, you know, how things can come together. But the Ramsey County Regional Rail Authority was willing, they seen the vision, and they were willing to put a lot of money in up front to get through some of the environmental work so that we were prepared when opportunities came at the state and federal level to actually start cobbling together the money to move forward on this project to get to the point where we could actually do a historic structure. Thank you for the help. I have one of these on my desk. When we awarded the contract, or at some point, maybe about a year ago, we all got one, and no one told us that they weren't done. So I'm back in my office. I'm just ready to tear into this book and think, okay, this is really cool. And also, I'm going, wait a minute. This has got to be like Latin or something. So all these empty spots, and I don't know, you'd share with me if it's some secret language. The closest I could come to is Latin, and I never took Latin at Johnson High School, I can tell you that. So I'm glad to hear that the unempty spots are filled, and it's a great book. But, you know, I'm going to say a little bit about the building because we don't get to the report without the building. I'm fortunate being involved in the Ramsey County Regional Rail Authority. I get to travel around a lot, transit conferences to connect. And no matter where I go in this country, in Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, as soon as they find out that I'm from Ramsey County, they know about this project. The people in this business know about this project. And they're almost to the point of envy that not only as a community do we still have this opportunity to take a building and put it back to what it's originally was designed for, an intermodal transit hub, because most communities have lost those opportunities. They've truly lost them. They've tore them down. Their businesses, their central business districts, their cities have grown up away from where it is, and it wouldn't work. And so there's this real sense of almost envy, but then also a shared pride, because these things have these connections, and there's a shared pride that people know somewhere out there there's a building that's being renovated and it's going to be put back to the use that it was intended. And so it's really grateful, you know, from the Ramsey County Regional Rail Authority that we're being recognized as a part of the team that we pulled together. And I have to say something about the team. Whenever I travel, that's the other thing people say, you got the best team that could possibly work on this thing, because these are experts in this field of whatever their field is, whether it's the historic part, the engineering part, the actual building of the project part. They are top of the line in this field, and the team that was put together to move forward on this project. So with that, I'd certainly like to hear from, I think Clary was the one that actually put the book together. She could tell me if that was Latin.
Thank you. We use faux Latin as a placeholder, so there's none of that in the final, thank goodness. When I was given this assignment to write the HSR for this great building, it was really daunting because I'd never been to Minnesota before. And my firm is located in New York, and what I do is historic preservation and architecture. And I have to say that coming here to research this building, the task was made so much easier for me by your great resources. You have the wonderful librarians at the Minnesota Historical Society, the great staff at the HPC, thank you, Christine and Amy, the Ramsey County Historical Society, local architects and planners who have been working on the building for 30 years and trying to keep it at a core for St. Paul. There are so many people that have been involved in this for 30, 40 years trying to keep it as a cultural resource, and you identify that, and that's really important to this building. So in a way, you've kind of done all of the prep work and made it easier for me to do my job. And because of that, we have this great building still left intact to do something amazing with. So thank you all for your support and your hard work as well. It's been a pleasure.
I've been the project manager for this, and you can see why my job was really easy. I would do the presenting, oftentimes, and manage the group. David was in charge of the condition assessment, which was a critical part of the HSR, and I really enjoyed it. I'm one of those people who I look forward to meetings with the HPC. I couldn't wait to come in and show, look what we're doing now, look what we've got. And I working with Amy was fabulous, and the staff and the commission. So I enjoyed it. I look forward to coming back again. I thank Ramsey County for the vision and perseverance to have this project, and then just to see this Union Depot move forward. I've got a couple teachers here, professors I have to acknowledge. Craig, back when I was, should I do this or not? I was out of sequence, took a night class. Yeah, got me going. And then Gar Hargens, I spent a year at Community Design Center on the east side of St. Paul. And since then, I've always had a love for St. Paul and look forward to projects in St. Paul. And here's another one. So, thanks.
Our last award tonight, but certainly one of our most important awards. I'm going to invite Gar Hargens to come forward. Gar is a former Heritage Preservation Commission chair. He's an architect and principal with Close Associates. He will be presenting an award to Larry Millette, and it will be an individual award. Gar?
Thanks, Craig. We got this wonderful script, which I'm going to use, and also Terry from a little bit. And I want to start by saying some of us are passionate about certain things, and some of us are very smart and knowledgeable about certain things. And one of the wonderful things about Larry Millette is he combines those two. And not many of us, Larry, can pull that off like you do. It says, Larry Millette has done much for St. Paul through his research and writings about our city's history and buildings. Amen. He began writing about historic building preservation while an architecture critic for the St. Paul Pioneer Press from 1985 to 2002. And I'm going to stop there for a minute and sort of fill in a few blanks. Many of you know that Larry does much of his research on bicycle, and which is a wonderful way to notice the eaves and the fenestration, architect speak, etc. I get to be his Doc Watson and go along sometimes. And but I have to tell you something that's been bothering me the last few years. Sometimes there's a certain part of the Twin Cities that we go through, and Larry will say, "Oh yeah, I grew up right down there, down that street. You know, I grew up down that. That's the street. We had a house there, you know, etc." And we got to, I don't know, 10, 12 of these sites. And, you know, I'm praising Larry for his accuracy and, you know, et cetera. And he's always writing things in his book. Well, I'm writing in my mind. Let's see. Okay. But then what really happened to give me pause was a couple times, 2 or 3 times, he said, "Oh, yeah, I was born right there." You know, that's you know, where we. So maybe if he gives a remark, he could explain that. I'm sure he'll have a good answer for that. But so again, Larry got 2 degrees in English. I only got 1, so I'm in already. But a pivotal thing happened after he came and started a journalism career with the paper, and 14 years into it, he'd been the education editor and the courts reporter and did those assignments and learned a lot about the paper's wonderful photo morgue, Strange Days and Dangerous Nights. But then architecture bit him big time, and he went to Michigan and got a Knight Fellowship, and I went to Michigan and boned up on architecture, and as near as I can tell, came back transformed. And so architecture was an outside passion from then on. And so then we can pick up the narrative that I was given. It says he also began writing books about history and buildings, The Curve of the Arch, the story of Lewis Sullivan's Owatonna Bank, Lost Twin Cities, and Twin Cities Then and Now. He's more recently written the AIA Guide to the Twin Cities, which was published by the Minnesota Historical Society Press in '07. Additional companion books on downtown St. Paul and Summit Avenue in the Hill District have also been published. Along the way, he's written Sherlock Holmes Mysteries, magazine articles. Larry's taught classes, given speeches, and developed and led tours focusing on architecture and history. And I want to just pause there. I don't know anybody in this rat race world that many of us are involved in who is more generous with their time and their knowledge than Larry Millett. It's just incredible. When I, approach him about, leading a tour or speaking to a group, and I know many of the rest of you have the same experience, he'll get excited and he'll say, sure, I can do that, I can fit that in. And Larry, that is one tremendous gift to all of us, and we thank you for doing that. So finally, Larry's work is valuable in educating a broader audience about the importance of architecture in shaping our communities, but he does so in an entertaining way. Amen. So the final award of the evening, and the second individual award, goes to Larry Millett in recognition of his invaluable contribution of research and writings on St. Paul's architecture and history and our lost architecture.
I guess I have to say something, huh? Let me just begin by saying that as far as my place of birth, my past is entirely apocryphal. So you just have to go on that basis. A lot of what I do is obviously writing history, and to me, history is about making connections, telling stories. And as I was listening to the awards that preceded me, and it's always a bad thing to be last on the list, but it occurred to me that all of these awards I can make connections to, some perhaps a little bit odd and some not. The Minnesota building, those of us who were in the Pioneer Press field for many years, of course, remember Luigi's Bar. Fine establishment where, around 10 to 1, the pressmen would wander in and they'd order like 6 drinks so as not to go through the rest of the evening sober. And it always worked for them. There was a mention earlier of the restaurant, which of course was the Four Inns in the Minnesota building, and still the home, I believe, of the saltiest beef barley soup known to humanity. And I can remember also being in the offices there. The Pioneer Press had its offices in the Minnesota building. James J. Hill House, I was looking at the nice presentation on the stonework there and mentioning the Kettle River Sandstone. You'll never guess who had a substantial ownership interest in the Kettle River Sandstone Company. James J. Hill, how about that? So he made a little money on the side while he was putting up the wall. It was great to see John Manillo get an award. John was and is every reporter's friend, because you could call him up on almost any topic, even if he didn't know anything about it, and he would have something interesting to say. And if you're a newspaper reporter and it's it's pushing deadline and you need somebody to say something interesting, you can always call John. And that was a welcome quality which hasn't changed, I don't think. I also the giesen-hauser house. as I was listening to the presentation for that house was designed by Albert Jacques, whose name starts ZCH and goes on from there. And the interesting story there is he was dead at 33. Leaving behind a big family of children, yellow fever. He was like a shooting star on St. Paul, did some wonderful houses and buildings, and unfortunately died very young, as happened to a lot of people at that time. St. Paul Union Depot, could tell you many stories about that, but as a Minneapolitan, what I always remember about the Union Depot is when I used to go back to, when I was at University of Chicago for a year and I would take the train often to Chicago, I used to hate the trip to St. Paul because you'd come from Minneapolis, you'd go the 6 miles to St. Paul, then you'd have to back into the damn station, and it would take forever into that cavernous thing. All of these awards, I think, point to how important history is to all of us, because it's not what happened, it's who we are. It's that simple. History is who we are. And one of the reasons I live in the oldest row house in St. Paul, the Burbank Flats down on West 7th, oldest row house in the Twin Cities, with interior by Menards, I might add. Very elegant. But I love the idea of sitting out on my porch and watching my dogs go crazy as they smell the meat being roasted at Mancini's nearby, and watching the parades go by. But really, it's who we are, and I've always tried in my books to tell a little bit of the stories of the past and to make them relevant to the future. I will end by saying that my next, as I refer to all my books as epic tomes, by the way, because it just sounds so nice. But the next epic tome, which will be out in September, is called Once There Were Castles, Lost Mansions and Estates of the Twin Cities. And I have 90 plus mansions that are gone from St. Paul, Minneapolis, and points in the surrounding area. And what I found with that story is two things. Rich people are strange, and mansions are fascinating. And I've tried to tell the story of a whole bunch of those, so that'll be the next book in the long line. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Congratulations, and one more round of applause for all of our recipients and the work that they do.